Welcome to Mandate, where we navigate fresh perspectives and nothing is off the table. This is a special episode tonight, Mandate Amend, and so we're talking about difficult conversations around clearing the air, being able to be honest and frank about some of the life challenges that happen in our lives, but more so to restore one's mana. To restore healing, but also looking at resolutions. And so we have these amazing individuals here, but also not as individuals, but also as a couple. They need no introduction. They are the Tipene family. And so people know them, you know them very well, and obviously they've been in the media. So please welcome with me the amazing Francis and Kaiora Tipene. Awesome. Well, kia ora te whānau. Thank you so much for tonight. And I know, and I don't want to rehash. The things that have been happening, and obviously some of the words and comments that people have been throwing out there, and a lot of the shade and so forth. And I watched the great interview with on Marae, with Miriama Kamu, and I appreciate your honesty, but also appreciate your courage and your braveness to shed light in terms of what actually happened and so forth. And so tonight it's not a spectacle. It's not like, okay, what can we get out of the Tipene whānau? But it is about restoration, it is about healing, and it is about restoring, like I said, restoring one's mana. And I love it. Ko te mana, ko te whānau, ko te pono. And it is about restoring mana in terms of your honor, your family, and also the truth. And I think more than anything, the courage for you two to be here tonight, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of resilience. And so Caroline and myself, we appreciate it, and kudos and a lot of thank you, a lot of love towards you both as a couple. But just want to start the ball rolling, because it has been a very, very hard time. But before that, maybe you want to add something, Francis and Kaiora?
Kia ora. Firstly, Pitia, Caroline, thank you very much for having us on the show. Both my wife and I remember last time it was my honour and privilege to be here, and it was a great time. And as soon as you asked me to come on here, I was like, yes, darling, because she didn't really know much. She saw the show, and I was like, if we come here, we'll be safe, you'll feel comfortable, and you just, it's like having a conversation. And so this is the first ever, apart from Miriama, which was not really an interview, that was to lay everything out for everyone. I promised people on social media that I would lay it all out on the line, and that day we did with that. And so this is about just lots of trust in you. And you're right, nothing's off the table. You ask me whatever you want, and we feel safe to answer it. And I know the public, want to know too, but I just didn't know, we just didn't know how to go about answering questions. We needed people to ask us in terms of what's happened and where we're going and how we are and how it's been for us. But no, we're open to anything. Yeah.
Kia ora. Yeah, tautoko ngā kōrero. Thank you for having me. It's a privilege and an honour to be here. Yes, this is our first podcast or kōrero with anyone actually after
any trusted media source. Tēnā kōrua.
And so being in this space, when he did mention to me, he's like, oh Mum, it's Mandate, they want to do an interview. And I was okay with that at the time, because I was, aware of his experience. And, there's been lots of interviews that we've been part of. It's just seeing our faces and our Pakehe, our business name, being thrown out in a different light, if it's a light, if you want to call it like that. I've struggled with trusting to have kōrero with others, but I feel safe in this space. So thank you. But also, I feel look, it seems like we can just be whānau on here, and that's okay. We can have these types of conversations now. Everything's been laid out there, as Francis and my husband has put it, and we're okay to move forward with these types of conversations. So kia ora.
Thank you.
Kia ora. I thought just to start the ball rolling, Francis and Kaiora, obviously like you said with Miriama, you were able to just throw it out there and just say, hey, this is what actually happened and so forth. And so, and for those of us who people, and you will, no matter regardless of how it pans out and how you kind of share and you say and all that kind of stuff. But there are going to be people going, oh, no, that's not the truth. People will have their own opinions and so forth, and so forth. And by all means, if you're entitled to your own opinion. But I'm curious to know, because it's been hard. And I watched that interview and I said, man, Francis, and you're absolutely right, Kaiora. For me, like Francis, when you first came, whānau, already just like, man, this is one of the brothers. And so I saw that. I saw the both of you just look broken, Francis and Kaiora, obviously because of the ordeal and the incident. And so just to start the ball rolling, what's kept you grounded? What's kept you grounded? What's kept you still in terms of the fight, but also what's kept you in terms of the resilience? What has been the key ingredient that has kept you guys glued together, and to continue to go even in the midst of adversity?
The truth has kept us grounded, because through everything that happened, and you saw it on newspapers and articles and social media, it was awful. It was just like, wow. But we didn't want to speak and say anything out of respect to the families who are going through a system. And we were just being munched up, eaten up and spat out. And we had to deal with that, because over everything that's happened, I have made a mistake. My wife disagrees. Like, I didn't oversee. I wasn't there on top. And it's not something I should have to do, because we all have a job and we know what to do. You leave for the morning and go do your work. And I trusted this person. And so that's why I thought, it's not really something I need to oversee. This person is way more experienced than I am. Been doing this for their whole life. And so have their parents, a family business, and that's okay. Sorry, before this, I just want to extend my love and aroha to the Bakalich whānau. She has a family. Yeah. Not only are the families that have been hurt grieving, but her own family are grieving too. So I want to extend my love to their family as well. And I didn't really, it hurts them when I talk about it, but I said to them, look, you've got to give me a chance to get over it. But the love I have for that whānau is huge. They're a beautiful family. We're just dealing with a situation at the moment. So getting back to the kōrero, that's what it was. We had issues, and between us both, I was the worst going through this ordeal than my wife. She was the one, with that whip saying, get out of bed. And I just wanted to stay there. And I was like, when is it over? I'm on the paper again. One whole week, every day on the page, front page. And I was like, wow. I just couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it.
Hey. You better not be coming back from Fiji. So I'm getting on that plane soon.
Yeah. Kōrero?
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. There was some ugly write-ups and some disappointing write-ups that had misled the public, which turned into abuse to not only Francis and myself, but towards kaimahi that weren't even part of any of that. But also that transferred onto the whānau that we were caring for at the time. We still had mahi to do for those who were in our care. And so when we put up notices or obituaries on our own Tipene Funerals like pages for the whānau, you would see responses in there, trolls that would be like, oh, I hope you guys are not being put in rubbish bags, and they don't deserve that. So this is what the media had created. And so there's, like I said, there's been some, I'm mindful now on who I'm going to talk to when it comes to these types of settings. So there was some ugly depression that we fell into, that we experienced. And I had to just dig deep, not just for ourselves, but for our tamariki, for our kaimahi, but there's a community out there that still believed in us. There were grieving whānau that still engaged in our services, and they were part of the big reason why I was still able to wake up the next morning. Come on, they've got a tūpapaku. They still need to be cared for. Let's keep going for them. And if it wasn't for them and for our tamariki, I feel like we would have still been in our beds. I would have still been like, come on, darling, let's go. And there came a time where I had to try and pull my darling out of bed. So, you know, and this is probably as raw as it gets when it came to that experience. It was ugly, and it wasn't just a week, as he said. We saw our faces solid.
Multiple.
6-7 months of a misled information, and it only was from one publisher. So I'm yet to have that, you know, face that at some point. I'm proud to say that I started a formal complaint process through that publisher, and you know they did reply with a quiet apology, which in my view is just not good enough. The public need to see where they did wrong, and we're yet to see how that unfolds in the coming months.
Can I just say, there is a reporter in the Herald, and his name is Raphael Franks in Taiho. I'm not throwing him anywhere or anything, but he was the one that started all of this and liaised with me about, you know, breaking news and this and that. And he's a young person. And he was up. They had the awards, the Voyager Media Awards. He was up for it. There were 3 of them for the biggest award, and his award was the Tipene Funerals scandal, and 2 other people. So 3 people were up for the big award of the evening, and my wife had put a complaint and say, you can't possibly put him up for because there's misreporting, and it was pulled. It was pulled the first time they've ever pulled an award away. And so one of the people from the Herald called me, one of the Māori workers, and you know what? Despite him destroying our lives, well, not really destroying, putting us through hell, I actually felt aroha and sad for him. And I said to him, one day I'd like to have a coffee with him in a kōrero to show him how you can report on these issues, these take, but you can do it in a proper, meaningful way where you don't need to trample on anyone and report like that. And so I asked him, look, I know he's going through a lot because it must be so depressing to be ripped away from one of the biggest awards in the country for the year, from one of the scandal sort of things from our work. But I said, look, put your head up, much to her anger, put your head up and one day we'll kōrero. And I can help you report on Māori issues, especially with death. Don't do it like that, because you dissed some of these families. They were still grieving, and the way you threw them out there with their loved ones in rubbish bags, body bags, you weren't just hurting us, you were hurting them. So I want to have that conversation with him, and you know, and I guess he'll be watching this evening. So, you know, keep your head up and do your mahi, but do it properly and ask questions, but don't do death stuff the way in which you did it, because it'll only come back to haunt you as it did. Sorry, just to chuck that out there.
Oh, that's lovely that you share that, darling. Look at him, he's only just confessing in front of me like this.
Because I know how it feels. I don't want him to go through that. He can learn. So I've learned. You can learn too.
The very person who probably just threw our name out there.
He did.
Look, what I will say, that it was slander, it was defamation. I know it was. I'm not going to say what will happen outside of that, but you can see that Tipene Funerals scandal, when you've been the headline stating that in your first half of your headline, that is insinuating that Tipene Funerals was at the heart of this operation, ka hore. So that there is one false headline. Now, yes, we can put it down to a reporter whose name I shall not breathe, because it's not even worth my breath right now. But there are seniors above him. There's an editor above him that should have seen his mahi. And look, he's been so humble by saying, yes, I can sit here and I can awhi him through future mahi when reporting on deaths. And so what I look back on a lot of those articles, And what I see, though, is the lack of knowledge that the media have when reporting. There's terms that we should be using. They don't have any knowledge at all of our industry, absolutely nothing. So they need to understand that you're reporting on loved ones, their whānau who are still here grieving for those loved ones, and just the terminologies, the terminology used. Be careful. You know, there's ways in which we can report. There are angles in which you can report. But they chose the most ugly, gruesome way to throw not only our mahi, but those whānau who had suffered during that time. So it rehashed a lot for them. One, they're trying to grieve their loved one and then having to experience learning that offending again. It's horrible. Sorry. So I'm unleashing. Girl is talking.
I appreciate it.
Sorry.
You should be. I absolutely agree. Sometimes, obviously, mainstream media, and you know how it is. Sometimes there's reporters and journalists. What's the most juiciest story? How can we alter the story a little bit and quite cutthroat? And you know what's so sad about this whole ordeal and the scandal and so forth, and these guys reporting the dishonesty, around it, and also what they do is, and I see it time and time, how they dehumanize the stories. And so it's like, man, you just treat people like, oh, it's just treat them. It doesn't matter. These are people, actual families, whānau, who have lost their loved ones. You too, as a whānau, your own whānau in your business, and they dehumanize the actual people and the stories of these people and the lives. And so, tell us, Francis and Kaiora, what was it like in terms of when you first saw the news? You heard the story, because I can guarantee, like, man, I want to. And the initial reaction is like, I want to do something that's probably gonna be in the flesh and just want to do something, all because it takes a lot of grace. I'm looking at you, listening to you. That it takes a lot of grace and humility to, like, not attack them, but just weather the storm. What made you guys? What is it? There has to be something is it your faith? Is it just your tikana as Māori and your beliefs and your values? What made you stop, like, man, I can take these guys to the cleaners?
First of all, it was empty pockets, because it would cost a lot to take them to the cleaners. But tikanga, in terms of who we are as Māori, man, she's just unleashed, you know, now, because the respect of it all was the tikanga guides us to lay the issue to rest. So we were not going to get up in these grieving families with everything that's happened and start out, you know, because it was a hard one. It was like, how much, you know, we have to walk the walk in terms of what we love about our work, and we love the families. And so we had to turi and be quiet and let court, lawyers, everything, police do their work. As hard as it was, you know, going to the shop was, we ordered everything online. We would just stayed at home because the looks you got from people, you know, and I get it totally, because they only know one side. We hadn't spoken yet. And so that's what it was. So tikanga said, go through, let the dead bury the dead, let them be rested. And so we needed to do that. And so it finished, we did it, and now was our chance. Everyone's hopefully on the path to healing. And now we were able to speak, but there were many times, mate, where we couldn't get out of bed. It was just like not worth it. It was so awful. But people keep ringing, you know, in terms of business, in terms of people dying. So it just, we're were forced to go to work. We're like, oh, okay. These people haven't really closed us down, so we had to go to work, and serve the families, look after them.
Like, we still had to dig deep to care for our grieving whānau and their loved ones. There was, I felt a lot for our kaumahi, our staff. They took a lot, you know, they copped a lot. There was the phone calls that were endless, the abuse over the phones, like, how could you be open, you know, why are you guys still operating? It almost seemed like the write-ups were out to kill our whole mahi, to really close us down. That's what it felt like. But our staff, you know, and while they're even in the procession on the motorway, just trying to get to the burial grounds, they can see someone next to them doing the fingers to them.
It was awful.
It was horrible. And I had been confronted many times during, you know, along at malls, in public areas, you know, how could you be, you know, who do you think you are? And I'm like, wow. Okay, now is the time I have to start wearing a hat and I have to wear glasses. And it came to a time where there was so much abuse that it almost felt like I was the one that caused everything. But we managed to get through that. We feel, though, sharing our kōrero with whānau has eased or subsided a lot of that. After the interview, the response from that interview, whānau were ringing in, you know, the public were ringing in saying, hey, we got you guys, keep going, don't finish, please carry on. There were people bringing in kai to our mahi, you know. This is our, you know, our mother's dish. She brought it in especially for you guys.
That was so...
Yes, so, you know, special mihi to those who did.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bring in their aroha to us and share their aroha to us. And that's what's also keeping us going. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. I think one thing the interview didn't capture was the responsibility of the media, you know, and, you know, they say the upholders of the truth and upholders of people's perspective, and they hold it with all this care. And to hear that this is what they've done to you, I'm absolutely proud when I saw that post that you put up, that, you know, something had been done, because quite often I think, are these processes just put in place for what? Like, do we actually, do people, do they actually respond? Do they actually do something? And so when you do it publicly back to them, I'm like, they actually did something about bloody time. And they need to be held responsible. But my thing is, you know, like, where do they get off? You know, and I like what you said, there's tiers, there's layers, you know, there's a process before a story goes out. How did they allow that to go out, you know, and how do they measure the truth? And then you also mentioned that there are strict guidelines around language. You're absolutely right. We work in the suicide prevention space and you can't say things like that in the media. And there's repercussions. And so when that isn't being upheld, there's so much, you know, and they keep posting, they keep publishing the articles. It just makes you kind of wonder, like, what was really beneath all of that? Were they trying to ruin your business? You know, what were they actually trying to do? Because you're both quite a successful company. You know, your mahi has reigned as long as it is. But what I also loved in our last interview, Francis, is just the way you hold that whole process. And the way you talk about how you hold, you know, our loved ones and their mana, even in that whole burial process. I think when we started seeing all this, we're like, this can't be true. This is not true. This is not true. You know, we know what this means for you and for you and your wife. And so to kind of see all this happen. So I think when my heart, I couldn't stop crying in that interview, to be honest. I watched it and I could just really feel the brokenness. And so, you know, like, what is the extent of the damage that this has created for you both? I mean, there's the business side, there's the emotional side, you know, there's all of that it's impacted. And I don't think we've actually heard the extent of the damage that this has caused. Are you able to share that? Yeah. So that people actually know what you're having to put together and restore, and in a really unfair way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're a very faith-based family, and so we were always, you know, our depression or our not wanting to get out of bed, all of those issues, we always thought there's always someone worse off than us, you know. You always think like that, and that helps you get through. Then you trust in the Lord to say, there's a reason for this. I'm you know, so we go down all of those paths, and that sort of kept us on top. But you know, there's a straight and narrow road, or there's an iron rod which you try hard to hold and stick to, but sometimes you let go, sometimes you deviate, and there was a lot of deviation, in terms of, I'm over this, alcohol took over because that was the only way I could deal with it. I'd stay in my room and just, I haven't really said, the kids are probably think my children know about this, but in terms of, that's what happened, because it just numbed everything. Didn't really want to think about it. Then you wake up one morning, we have prayers, and then, at 7 o'clock at night, you're drunk again because I just, didn't want to think about it. Then so a couple of days a week, I'd go to work, trying to feel good about, the terrible drinking that happened. And my wife was not, she didn't touch one bit of it, but that was, an issue there that sorted out. But I don't want it to be, that's just an excuse. Well, it is, actually. It was my excuse to hide and to suppress. I mean, and so we went through that. And what else did we? I put you through hell, I'm sure I did, to add on top of everything else.
Yeah, it's quite a big topic for my husband to disclose that information about consumption and alcohol, because we have good times with our, we socialise, but when it became a priority in his life over his whānau, we then realised, okay, something has seriously hit him. Do you want me to wait for that? Yeah. But look, we've managed to overcome that, and that was a big obstacle at the time. But as a whānau, you lean on each other. We support one another. I could have easily broke. Nah, bro, you're on your own. And it was like, shucks, if this is my life now, stuff you, media, stuff you, whatever, it's not working anymore because that consumption is taking over my, what worse could happen? But, I saw something else trying to take my husband away from himself, from his mahi. And it was just a matter of him drawing on his close whānau to help him through that, and we did. So we managed to work through that, and it's all good. It was something that happened at the time. Yes, there were some serious issues that were going on, but this is the effects.
Yeah, it's understandable. Understandable. This is huge.
And like you say, yes, mahi had its own little downturn with kaimahi being faced with abuse, and then there was ourselves struggling, and if we didn't draw on one another at the time, I feel we would be in a worse position today. But we just had to hang in there until we knew the time was right. And I'm glad we did. Hey, darling.
Yes, absolutely.
We're still here.
You are. And I guess what people need to understand, because nobody should be judging, this is massive. We see you both on the show. We see you're so meticulous about, everything being done properly. I used to watch it at the very beginning and I'd be like, who is this guy? This guy, like, everything needs to be done properly. And you'd worked really hard to build your business up in a way where the community really trusted it. And like you said, just when you trusted your this particular person and turned your eye for a second, this is when it sort of went another way. And the outcome, there's two things, There's that, and then the way the media just used that story to kind of blow it out of proportion. But that, I don't think people understand that if you're going to end up in that position, the extent of the damage is huge. It's huge. Because you were probably, everybody's like, you think of a funeral, you think, Tipene's. Go there. And so when this all happens, it totally flips the script. You now are trying to figure out, like,
a funeral, you think, oh, rubbish bags, plastic bags, because that's... One night we were out for dinner and I went to the wharepaku and some youth were in there and they saw me, they're like, oh, that's the guy with the rubbish bags. And I was like, oh my gosh. I ran out and told my son and then not to do anything, to just leave them because it's not their fault. That's all they knew, And I just thought, see, if these young people know this, I wonder what their parents, everyone's talking about it because we never really had feedback, but it was okay. And so we knew we just got to hold on, because we'll be able to tell our story soon. But the other thing, one day one of the people from the Herald rang me, he's a Māori gentleman, really nice, and he says to me, look, bro, the Herald will not stop at big names. They want you and they will do whatever. And I was like, whoa. Now, a couple of things happened for me there. I was like, big names? I can't believe it. I'm this little boy from Paulinga in the middle of nowhere who no one knows, and all of a sudden you think I'm a big name? So I said, well, that's great, but also not great, So, and the other thing is, we're around for a long time, and so, we'll make mistakes again, like any business. Not to that extent, I guess, but I was just like, might be not this won't be the only time. Everyone will be watching now with fine tooth comb to make sure everything's done, and that creates more, probably even worse than it was before. Now I'm just like, I can't. Check the oil, check the tyres, because I don't want to, if you get a flat battery on the road, people, there they are again, you've got a flat tyre. I just can't win now. You've just got to be extra meticulous, over the top. And I don't know how long I can take that, in terms of waking up every morning, you're like, right, who's got funerals, check the car, right, flowers, petals, service sheets, you just got to be on top of it. And I was just like, I can't operate like that. It's just really stressful. But I think over time I've just got to relax and just let the FDs do their work. Because they always tell me that, stop stressing, it's okay, we've got it. And I'm like, yeah, you don't understand because you make a mistake, I go on the paper, not you. But you know what I mean. That's what I think about every morning when I wake up now. So it's sort of made it, although we've had this conversation with Miriama and I've told you some of the issues that we've gone through, it's made it a bit, we're working twice as hard now to build ourselves back up or to maintain, the level of service that people expect.
Yeah, awesome. And how did you pick him up? How did you get him out of bed? How did you help Francis? Because the thing is, people don't realise, running a business is not easy. Serving the community is not easy. And then having all of this to deal with. And so as you start to see it impacting on your husband, and I'm sure a lot of other wives out there want to hear, how do you help them move forward? What does that look like?
It is a tricky space to be in because the typical wife is really coming out going, you better get your bum out, If you don't hurry up and do this. But at the same time, you're dealing with someone who is depressed. You're dealing with someone who is entering another space to seek where he thinks is help for him. And that's consuming, alcohol, possibly. I thought, look, a bit of space is good. Allow them to go through those emotions. Give them a bit of time. And then when you know that they're in a communicating space with you, that's your opportunity to hit them hard. Tell them, look, if you don't pick it up right now today, you're going to see yourself over here. And it's a moment that only you as a wife would be able to gauge. Not even his close whānau would be able to see that. You know your husband, you know where he is with his tamariki, and you know where you are with him as husband and wife. So I saw that, and you should be able to gauge those changes. But try not to be an angry wife. You really have to have a lot of patience at that time, because it's testing you as a wife and it's testing you as an individual. It can be dangerous because you too fall into depression. And then you've got nothing else to rely on other than possibly venting in a special way to the public, which I did at one stage.
I saw that.
And without disclosing any names or throwing shade to the media, particular publisher, I was like, you know what, Ete whānau, if you know the no, you've seen what we're going through, I'm just going to say it as it is.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of beautiful response from that because people could see, oh, she's broken. There's something out there that's really hurt her. Because there was just a lot of ugliness in the media, and then at the same time I'm still trying to find to pick up myself and my husband at the same time. So if you are the wife that are going through something similar, have some understanding for your husband and be kind to yourself. And you have to have some patience. Like, I have a husband that's really impatient sometimes. He wants things fixed immediately, but it couldn't be done in that time.
So this is one thing I couldn't fix, and that was really...
Yes, he's used to having been able to, I don't know if control is the word, but he's used to manage, you know, and we're able to work together as a team when he knows he can see things. But this kaore, we couldn't possibly know what the next day is going to look like because, I think you're in the Herald more than a politician, more than Luxton at one stage.
Sadly, I was.
And so...
That might be your next job.
But thank you for that question. I did lose myself a little bit. I struggled to. I used to be that person that would upload anything fun on social media, you know, and be really vibrant about it. But I noticed that I lost confidence in myself because if people are thinking ugly of me, how can I actually still give, you know? So, but now I'm good. I'm okay, you know. Having these types of conversations is healing. And I'm confident now, or better, to be able to just share something about myself. Yeah.
Kia ora.
It's beautiful.
It is really very beautiful. And just you guys being here, I tell you, it feels like it's healing for myself as well. It is. I think the whole kōrero or talanoa, it is about healing and restoration. And what you've gone through, some people don't make it out. Some people just like it just crushes you and just there's a point of no return. But you're here.
Yeah.
You're still here, which shows the character and the resilience that you both have. And just when you first came, Francis, we just gauged straight away, this is a man who loves his people, who loves the work and the mahi that you do. And it is, you take it with so precious, you carry it with so much care and love. And so when we read the news, and so from the media outlets, we knew straight away, this is a lie. Because you know someone's character. You know someone's character, and the character doesn't align with what someone is saying. And so, and obviously there's going to be a ripple effect. You guys are already in the public eye on TV and so forth. And people always see your face plastered all over the media. But the ripple effect, because I'm curious to know, I'm interested to know, obviously it affected your work colleagues or your employees, but the kids, the tamariki or the rangatai, in terms of your kids, how did it affect your kids? And did you see the effects it had on your kids?
Yeah, kia ora patea. What I found interesting about that with the kids at primary, we've got kura kaupapa and college, their teachers and their classmates were so protective. It was amazing, so amazing. And it could, because we were involved in the kura, so that they knew our character and everything like that. But it just, some of the kids would see, because people would post us on TikTok, and so a lot of these young kids got TikTok now, and they say, we saw your mum and dad, da-da-da-da. But in terms of the kōrero back, Mika and Miaka would come home and they'd say, mum and dad, they were talking about you, but, all my friends were going to beat up this and this. No one's beating up no one. So it was really nice in terms of that. And our bigger boy at college, all of those kids there, they're just real hearty each other. Oh no, you tell me if you need me. You know, that sort of ahua for Moroni. We got you. You tell mum and dad we're coming over to. So it was it was just one less thing not to worry about. And so I was so grateful for that community, the schools, and the way in which they're raising the kids in terms of, it was like an anti sort of bullying, nice message, sort of looking after. What are your thoughts for the kids?
I found, especially in our kura kaupapa Māori tamariki, my son, there's a tight community there that are all for everything, kaupapa Māori driven, and so they really looked after him during that time. They're just like, sis, let us know if you need anything, so we're going, that we're going to pick him up and like, well, it's all right, you need us to come and offer you at mahi. Oh, thank you, whānau, kei te pai. And the same with our big boy at college, same sort of were there. They looked after him as well, and I think our tamariki were well cared for during that time. I think it was just mum and dad needing.
I think they were the strongest ones, rather. Yeah, out of both of us, because we tried to hide our pain and our mamai in terms of that, and like my drinking, I tried to sort of keep that away from them too as much as I could, except if I was sort of stumbling home, if I was out with, the friends and that. But yeah, it was like a little hermit sort of in the room. It was just to help me go to sleep so I didn't have to think about anything, because that was the hardest thing, is getting to sleep, going to sleep, because everything's running through your mind, the worst case scenarios. So I was like, I want to be numb, please. I just want to be numb. And so that's what happens. I don't do that. I'm just saying, just for that time, it was, the only thing I could see to help me through it. So, yeah.
It's huge. I mean, people need to understand, I guess when you say you're depressed, like in the mix of that, there's exposure, is it fair to say like a feeling of whakamā?
Absolutely.
Like shame, and then just people attacking you, like you now become the victim of public like scrutiny.
Yes.
Like there's all of that. And so I think when we hear you say depression, like it's mixed with all of this stuff. And, when you're sharing that's how you cope with it, understandable. Absolutely understandable. And I think, we hear from your end, like how you pulled him out of that, but from your end, from a tāne end, for us to kind of hear that perspective, what did your wife do that really helped you sort of start to shift over? Because I think
I left him now.
No, totally. She was like, she was like, it's either us or the drink, so there was that. Then I was like, well, how dare you, in terms of that, like that kōrero, but she had to. And so she shipped me off to this beautiful place for a little bit of me time for, some people call it rehab. I would call it, what would I call it? Jail. But although with, you had the most best meals there, we were well looked after, it was just so beautiful. So she shipped me off there for a whole month, much to, I was so angry. I was like, how dare you do this to me? But at that time, she had her time, we missed each other, but also I learned some new skills. I'm so grateful. And sometimes I want to go back there just to have a time out, because it was like this beautiful hotel with good kai and good people and, some good friends, because we're all on the path to healing, and there was no judgment, because... and I say this with all humility, but I was probably like one of on the lower end of the scale in terms of how bad people were. But we all were problematic. But I was like, I'm around all of these, but it was okay. We still felt safe. But yeah, she shipped me off there, and that's when I know I was like, wow, how dare you, after everything I've gone through. But she had to do what she had to do, and that was the turning point. I went, I spoke, I learnt new skills on how to deal with things, and I'm so grateful. So grateful.
Can I just
Thank you so much.
It's real. This is new to me. Where he's put it on me that I shipped him there.
Sorry.
We did have that conversation,
yes.
and he chose to go in the end because I was like, no, I already know what you're going to do. You're going to put this on me. So,
Yeah.
but
and because it was during Christmas and New Year, so I was away from my family at that time, so that was hard, but it was okay. It was really good. There was, hey, Mum.
yeah, I still was able to see him on Christmas Day, and hey, how's your ham? Oh, nice, there it is.
Yeah, no. And then, one of my, I have to admit it now, sorry, Fehi, one of my staff members, not throwing you under the bus, I'll text her, because we were allowed phones for certain points, like, dear, for my Christmas, can you please bring me a 6-pack?
Naughty,
Sorry, I said, but she didn't.
I think she blocked him.
She blocked me. I was like, everyone's turning on me. But it was that was my thing to her, and she was like, I'm blocking you. Don't text me that. And so I was like, just drop it out my window. I'll give you the address. But yeah, those are the funny times I look back now. But that's wrong again. Don't do that. But this is just me, having no control. I was like, what control do I have? Nothing, and that was great. It was so good. So I'm so glad the Herald don't like us, because this would have been on the front page tomorrow. This is a rehab. That was one of the things, and it was I was like, man, is this rehab? This is great. But I think it was like a retreat for yourself. So, and I needed it there, but it came at, I say the worst time, Christmas, New Year's, but probably the right time, because what would I have been doing if I was home? Probably drunk, drunk. So it was perfect.
It was
timing.
a season. Christmas and New Year's is a season to be celebrating a whole lot of things.
Great move.
And actually, well done to you for deciding to go. You decided, remember?
I did, but then I got there and I changed my mind. I said, no, I'm coming home now.
Yeah, they said.
And then she drove off, and I was like, let me out. Locked the doors. The bars came down. I was like, what? Oh, my goodness.
Did you record any of that, Cole?
I did, actually. It was so funny because it's been a long, I usually hear from him at least every hour, to get a text and something. But the first 24 hours, I had silent treatment, man. I was like, I don't know if this is a good idea anymore. I think I might have to go back and get him. But no, there was nothing. I think it was like 72 hours later. And I'm like, man, this is actually really terrible. I wonder if I should ring them to see if it's okay. But they're like, no, it's all part of it. Don't worry.
And they knew this was going to, they knew the scenarios and what we're going to go through. I was like, so you knew I wasn't going to talk to her? You knew I didn't want to? Yes, we know this is a normal pattern. I was like, this is all stitched, using all sorted this all out. And I just, So for that first week, I wanted to leave. I was like, no, this is not for me, because of my good friends, I know that we're watching. We're still good friends, but I didn't feel that I was in scales, 1 to 10. They were 10, and I was just in my office, one of those drinking in the room sort of guys, But I know that's not the truth now, but I was really angry that first week, and then by the third week, I didn't want to come home. It was so good.
Yeah.
We had some good friends.
Yes.
I understood people. I learned skills and some tools to help me. And then it was over. I was like, wow, 1 month is gone?
Yes.
Sure was.
Awesome. Sometimes I'm like, oh, do you want to go back? You okay? You want to go back there?
Sounds like it was a camp, like a retreat. Francis.
Yeah.
But I love that thank you so much for sharing that, because the power in that story alone tells us that there's some things, as wives or whānau that we have to do that they might not like in the moment, but it's done with aroha, it's done with care, it's done with, the utmost respect around protecting them. So I love that, you share that story, because it's so powerful for some of our whānau who, just stuck.
Yes.
They don't want to hurt them, they don't want to piss them off, they don't want to go against them, but yet they don't have many, the options are so slim.
Yes.
And so, I know it's a hard thing to do, but the mere fact that you didn't and you tolerated that silent treatment and the angst, that comes with it. But hindsight's beautiful, because Francis sits here today and shares the... shares the story in the hope that it'll help other whānau.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And you know, couples are going to go through a lot of trials, you know. It's not rosy every day. People, you know, what was really difficult at some stages, Caroline, is I did feel ugly about myself. You know, I got into that space where we were like, oh, God, you know, we're not even perfect, you know, we're not even looking after each other. So how can I front myself? How can I front my mahi? People are going to come to me, how's your husband? Oh, yeah, he's perfectly fine. That was so hard. And then, oh, how's your...
away.
Well, you were everything, cuz. You were wherever having to whatever it was. But no.
But I get it. I get you had to, you can't, oh, he's drunk at home in the room or he's at, you couldn't say that, could you?
Oh, no.
No, thank you.
So...
No, you can.
we were just, you know, I just felt like at one point I had a fake person. I had to put a mask on to tick the boxes every day. And then, you know, I know, like, people would come up to me at the airport sometimes or in public spaces and go, oh, my gosh, you're so beautiful in real life. Thank you for looking after our people. You and your husband are amazing with your mahi. And I just didn't know how to take those comments, you know, because there was just already an ugly space in the publishing, in the media. I didn't feel right at the time, and so accepting those types of comments was hard for me. But you know, like after kōrero was whaia miriama, and also our public statement, we put up our own public statement on our media, on our own social media pages. I feel that I'm doing better. And we are. And I feel that part of restoring mana for me was, one, putting that formal complaint into the New Zealand Herald. And two, further putting another complaint through to the Voyager Media Awards. Now, these are the National Media Awards. And they confirmed that a withdrawal had been put forward by the New Zealand Herald. And I felt, I felt better. I did feel proud that we had complained and stopped that award from being recognised if that reporter was going to win for the Tipene Funerals scandal. And that was just one way of making it right for me. And you know what? And I couldn't feel any prouder than stopping something that I knew shouldn't have been recognised on a national platform. It was just wrong. And it questioned the Media Council's standards. So, and from what I was told, you know, I have a lot of friends in the media, we both do. They made contact with us in the lead up to the National Award saying, hey, I can't believe
they were like,
you did that, girl.
Did that. You know, and I was grateful to you for that. I didn't know how much it meant until all these people were ringing and saying, do you know what you just did? And we were like, no.
No one in history has ever done that before. And I said, well, excuse you, do you know what they were up for?
But that's a lot of mamai as well, you know, a lot of pain that was when you did that, not just for to rip it from him, but, you know.
Yes, it was part of like restoring some mana in
a little bit,
in ourselves. So,
but yeah, that's how I sort of dealt with it all, and so grateful to my wife for doing that, for making the moves, and for me to agreeing to go. You know, for the first day, you know, but then it just led on, and then so it was really good.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I guess when I hear your story there, around the word that comes to me is wahine toa. Wahine toa. And I think that's the way you bring your power back, is you fight the good fight. And you did that not just for yourselves, you did that on behalf of a whole heap of people whose stories have been effed up, you know, by these people just for the sake of getting clout, for the sake of getting putia. So I love that you did that, and you didn't just stay even in the midst of your own feelings. and how hard it was for you to accept those compliments. The only way through that is just to face it front on. So thank you for doing that. Thank you so much, because you do that for a lot of people out there. And I know when I saw it, I was like, Get the girl, that's the one. And for them to pull that back, it makes a statement. It really makes a statement that, one, they take the processes are there for a reason. And if you don't make a complaint, you don't make a noise, nothing gets done. So, yeah, massive ups to you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. But it makes you think as well, Kaiora and Francis, how many of our people have been ridiculed in the past and felt like, oh, I can't do this, and maybe they should. Maybe they should, and just regaining the power back, or the mana, restoring like you said, restoring their own mana. And I think people are not aware about, hey, we can do this. We can actually push back and say, hey, this is not right, and see the results and the outcome, positive outcome as well. So appreciate that. But also you talked about hurt. Obviously, it's the pain, the mamai, the obviously the anguish around the whole scandal. But in terms of the mana with the whānau, the Bakulich whānau, how was that in terms of, was there closure? Was there a bit of a kōrero around, obviously with Fiona, but obviously with the whānau, the Bakulich whānau, because like you mentioned earlier, there was a lot of hurt around, obviously them as well, a bit of betrayal and so forth with her own ainga. And so how did you bring that together? How did you, the discussions or the kōrero around bringing some sort of restoration and peace around what Fiona did?
As a whānau, we haven't got there yet. There's because during that whole raru with court and the coverage, and obviously now there's been a sentence, so I guess they're still going through it, but we will definitely meet and have this conversation, because but I'm mindful every time that I speak or we write something, it brings it up again for them, and their family will share it to them. Oh, look what he said now, look, and that's okay, but not okay in terms of it's not really, I'm not here to do that to them, because they're beautiful people. I'm here just, hopefully I recognise their mamai and their pain, but I'm not sure that it's, that because we've had it too, just like them, both of us. So we're just trying to bring to light some issues. Sadly, the common factor is, there's a daughter, there's a sibling, there's a family member, and there's also a good friend of ours, that a family member, we treat her like a family member, and so we're both suffering, but we can't both go down this rabbit hole and just lay there and, die, for want of a better word, but we have to come out on top, and that is this type of conversation, healing, putting it out there, and then we need to get together with the Bakulich whānau and, eat and talk, and just maybe cry even. We need to do that, and that will happen. But that'll be done very privately, to look after them. I mean, we're public people, it is what it is, but we will respect their privacy and we'll do it in private. Yes. But we definitely want to do that.
We still serve their whānau, and we're going to be around them often. We will never turn anyone away. There's loved ones that need to be cared for, and someone has to do that for them. So we do have to put those that mamai aside to do the mahi. And yes, the Bakulich whānau, they had played an important part in our lives at some stage. And it's not as if there's an easy shut-off. But there had to be, it was a very difficult time, and it still is. But there is, again, some healing. I think we would call it hoho te rongo in our
restoring mana, restoring justice, restoring relationships, whanaungatanga. So that will happen, and it needs to happen, because, But, the best people are our staff. They don't get caught up in this. When they have a tangi for that family, they're there, and they love every single one of them. So I'm so grateful to my staff and the way in which they conduct and carry out themselves. They're not interested in all of this. They want to do their work. Yeah, so very grateful.
Yeah. And that's why they're in that kaupapa,
Yep,
because
true.
of the...
Pono.
Because one of the things that I think that I kept, because, you know, from our last interview, we really talked about wairoa. We talked about, you know, like, you know, there was that story that you shared that you want to make sure you do it properly, because when you go to bed at night, you don't want to be like, what have I missed? And so when this all came out, I'm just thinking, come on, people, we're talking about the, you know, the those who have passed on. We're talking about their spirit. How can you, you know, take all of this information and think that this is how they treat people? So I love that just in your own kōrero tonight, you've still upheld the mana of other people. You know, you've upheld Fiona's mana, you've upheld their whānau's mana, you've acknowledged that the grief is still there, you know, and it's still... I mean, people need to go through it. You can't run away from it. And it's going to take time for people to get to that place, of reconciliation, of rebuild, of restoration. And so, you know, I really do hope, I really want to acknowledge just your own, in the midst of all this, your own aroha, even for the reporter. Like, how are you even talking like that about that guy?
Young guy, I just was just like, yeah, he, you know, and he's lucky he's still young, you know, but all the amount of pain, if I could only, and that's why I want to meet with him. I'll tell you my pain, and you tell me yours, and let's figure out a way for you to do better in the future, because I'm sure you're going to report about me again, whether it be good or bad, I'm not sure, but there's a way you can do it, you know, without dissing anyone. You could have done it. I just feel like my photo was always bigger than Fiona's. I was like, man, gosh, they put you, because it's a selling point,
hey,
you know.
really ugly old photos of him. I'm like, oh, really?
Well, actually, I was like, you could have picked a better one. You know, I can laugh about it now, but I said, oh, brother, go on the internet, there's more.
You've got heaps.
Man, you got heaps. But, you know, but that's, and I told the liaison guy there, and I said, look, I'd like to meet with him one day when he's up for it, because I know this would have hurt him to be ripped away from this award, but I was like, because it wasn't right, it wasn't true, and you can do your job in truth, you know. So that's well,
How do you do that, Francis? Because, you know, obviously you're a man of faith. You're in Kaiora, and you're quite spiritual, you're wairoa, but it takes a lot of, I don't know, it takes a lot of control or self-control to say, you know what, I need to do what's right. And oftentimes when you're being wronged, doing right is far beyond what you're thinking at the actual time. But for you to awhi this reporter and journalist and still show him grace and forgiveness, how do you do that? Can you kōrero around, like, to just to show this man love? Pretty much is aroha. You're kind of showing him love, even though he's wronged you, and he's wronged you not in just minor, but majorly he wronged you.
I just think for me to hold this, nothing. I can't get anything from holding this anger. I'm not going to grow. I'm going to die. We're all going to die, but I'm going to die angry. So I thought, why do I want to die angry when I can die and we can, you know, like today has been really grateful. Thank you. Like for my wife, I've just never heard her talk so much like this. So that's really nice in terms of that. So, so we, you know, for him and me to come together and talk about this, I mean, you know, his bosses might not let him, but I thought to myself, I'm so angry at you, and he's probably angry at me and us for doing what we did, but let's talk and try and make something of it, you know, because we're all going to die. I'm either going to die grateful, happy, or angry, you know, so that's the only reason. I was like, what have I got to lose? I mean, yeah, I could never talk to you again, but, you know, you'll talk about me again, I'm sure. But can I please have a chat to you and, you know, have a cup of tea or a hot drink, and let's talk about it and restore some of this mamae that both you and I are going through. That's all. I just think
I know he is so good, and it's that's a trait that I'm still needing to learn from. And he does have a lot of humility, but oh gosh, I mean, he sits there ever so nicely talking about it, and I'm just like, grinding my teeth. But he's actually not the one that I'd be wanting to sit with. That's just me. I'd rather sit with his superiors and say, why did you let this happen? How did you let this happen? That's just me anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
That
the thing
makes
is, he's still a young person, so he could be that boss one day. You know, so
that's right.
let's start and kōrero now. So when you get to be that boss, you'll tutor your your kaimahi in the right path.
Because I love that because, you know, as I watch you both, you look lighter. You look lighter because I watched you in the interview.
I was angry.
You just, I was like, oh, I didn't like what I was seeing. I really felt. And then as I've seen you come in this evening, I'm like, you look fresh. You look lighter. You look like you've let go.
Yes.
And I think that's freedom in itself, eh?
Totally.
Yes, that was one of our most challenging interviews that we've had. And because she was asking, Whai Miriama was asking some really difficult questions that needed to be answered. And we're not holding back.
No.
Yeah.
We needed to answer those questions, and they're obviously questions that have been asked in the public, or from the public, and I feel that, you know, we could only answer the best way we could. And so sitting there, going through each question, I'm like, oh, gosh, and you just can't, I just felt like crying almost through every single one of them, and swearing, you know, you had that F-bomb right at the tip of your tongue at most moments throughout that interview. But it needed to happen, eh, hun?
We strategically had the interview in the chapel so that we wouldn't. Can't say that.
You're not in the chapel. You're not in the chapel now.
No, we're not in the chapel now. Go for it. Let's have it in the chapel so that we don't, because we could easily have said, you know, some. But then that's not what our viewers they didn't expect that of us. But hoiano, that was so angry that day, and I just couldn't wait for it to be over. Not because of Whai Medium, she was so graceful and wonderful. But in terms of some of the questions she asked me, I was like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. You know, some things or the dates. So what date did this today? And I didn't know the answer, so we'd stop and we'd run upstairs and look on the computer, come back and then answer the question. So so she did a fine job with her questions, you know, and that's a good reporter, you know. So tino pai. But the way in which it was done, it wasn't to takahi, it was just, we asked her, please don't hold back, and she didn't. And it was just making sure everything lined up with the statement and, you know, to keep it all, open and not hide anything.
Yeah, she did. I must say, she did really well in terms of just getting the facts, surfacing the facts. And giving people even the visuals around, you know, how people were making these claims, or the articles were making these claims, and how impossible it was for that to actually happen. So she did a great job in just putting the facts on the table, so that people could see the difference between what was true and what was untrue. And so I guess when you're was that anger that you were feeling, was it mainly like, what was that? Was it because you felt, I don't know, like what was that anger that you were feeling at that time when you were being asked those, you know, like when you're being asked those questions, what was the anger at the time? Was it that you had felt like, why do we have to answer these questions? Or
everything?
Yeah.
Yes, it was, but basically, but just the whole morning, like the days before, I was so excited. I was like, oh, she's coming. We're gonna, you know, sit down with her. We're gonna meet her again. She's gonna be here. You know, a bit starstruck. And then the morning came. I just had this bad attitude. I was like, oh, I can't believe we have to go through this, because it just got real. The camera came in and like all these lights like this, and they set it up, and I was like, oh gosh, there was 2 or 3 cameras, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And it just, and then Miriama turned into herself in terms of her wonderful way in which she reports, and then the questions came, and I was like, oh, and then some of the questions I didn't know the answers to, and I was like looking at her, and then when she didn't know the answers, I got really angry. I was like, oh, no, we both look like idiots because we don't know the answers. Let's cut it and go and find the answer on the computer, you know? Because I don't think and it was good she didn't prepare us, because it would have looked really ugly. Like, oh, I've got every answer to your question. But there were moments where like...
There were dates, you know, there were certain dates for everything. And I'm like, oh, God, You know, it's one, we're having to do this interview. Two, you're having to dig deep to stay as best you can through that interview. And then three, oh God, Kaiora, how come you don't know the answers to the detail at that moment? I mean, we have the answers, we just didn't have them in detail. So what I did also learn through that interview is that after every court hearing, the media are entitled to a summary of facts, and that information we didn't have. So they had a record of everything,
Which
a
we
timeline,
didn't.
a timeline of everything. And we didn't. Did you know this happened? Did you know, wow,
No,
how come we don't have that? Where did you get your information?
I'd just be bombarded by the media if I went and then came out. I was like, no, I'm staying away. But yeah, we didn't have a summary of facts. So that's one thing I wish I knew, that knowledge, or our lawyer to help us every time there wasn't a court thing, to have a summary of facts. So that was a learning, that part there.
Yeah.
But I just, we did everything that we needed to. We gave them everything. And so thought, what more do you need?
And I think throughout, as the day went on, and we were sitting there throughout this interview, I actually it felt lighter as we were answering these questions. That one was quite loud, eh? What's that one? 777, whatever.
I think it's the Herald.
Low?
But look, I think I feel sitting with Whai Miriama was also, although it was challenging, it was probably the best move that we did. And we were able to gain trust again, to have interviews with certain members of the public, and also in
which we haven't yet. This is the first ever since that interview.
Yes. So I have a lot of respect for Whai Miriama. After this interview, she's actually, when it aired, we had just landed in Australia. We were there to surprise our sister. It was her birthday. And when she had been crying for our niece and our nephew, so we thought, let's just do a quick surprise.
Our daughter and our son.
Oh, sorry. Oh, my gosh.
It's her niece and nephew.
Oh, my gosh.
Our daughter and our son.
Sorry, yes. Oh, my goodness. Well, actually, that when she's here, they become her true. She's the mother. We become auntie and uncle. And she had been pining. She's been crying for her niece and nephew. So we thought, let's just
surprise and shoot over.
Yeah. Anyway, I got a message from Whai Miriama to say, look, we're going to air it this weekend. I'm like, okay, well, sorry, we're not
in the country. And probably a good thing too.
Yeah. All the best. So we were getting notifications from friends and whānau like, I hope you're okay. I'm like, I'll just deal with it when I get back, because I didn't know how to watch it. I was going through a bit of anxiety at the time, but I thought, look, I'm here with my sister and with our mother-in-law. The tamariki are happy. Just enjoy the moment, and then when I get back to Aotearoa, I'll be able to watch it when I can. And I think it was going to come out anyway, and I'm glad after watching it, it did rehash a few things, but we're good. Hey, hun.
Yep. I don't watch it. I don't, because it's hard to watch yourself. Yeah. That's why. I know what it is. I've said what I said, so I don't really need to watch it. But it's so hard to watch yourself. Why did I say that? Why did I look like? So it is what it is. So I don't watch it.
That's clever. That's very clever. Just once it's done,
done.
Don't look at it.
Don't look at it.
Go to the next one.
Yeah. Go to the next one. Yeah.
Because you were there. You were there, Francis.
I was there. I answered the question. So. Yeah.
There was like, we have an agent, who takes care of our, who would send some requests to us if we were interested in emceeing certain events or speak at certain conferences. And because obviously we're going through our own little thing at the time, I just said, look, can we just hold off for now? Once we regain mana for ourselves again, we'll be able to feel confident in that space. So it's so funny because on my way here, I got an email from our agent like, "Hey, I hear your series is coming out. Are you keen to step back into the conference spaces again?" I said, "Oh, okay, I'll get back to you." Yeah, so I think things are going to be okay now.
Things are going to be okay. It is what it is, and I think whatever's happened, I just say the Lord has put this in front of us to make us stronger, to a challenge that we couldn't overcome. I nearly tipped us over, sorry, but you shipped me off and we got sorted. So, He's put it there for a reason, and we've got to be better, take more care, and be diligent and check over everything. So now that's the attitude I have moving forward. And on the 11th, is it the 11th of next month?
The 11th of June. It's just only like 2 weeks.
2 weeks time. We filmed last year casketeers around the globe, so we go to different countries. And the first country we start off was with Tonga. Tonga. So 2 weeks time, and this is the first show we've ever announced it on, so no one knows. So now I wanted to announce it on your show. Yep. So so we go to Tonga and then different countries after that, but we had to start with the motherland first. And Whatawhihi assists us. She joins us to.
I'm so glad she came too, because I was struggling with just buying things at the shop, and what saved me was my calculator. I was like, "How much is it?" And he'll say something. I'm like, "Oh, can you put it?"
Hey, and the Chinese, is it the Chinese that speak Tongan?
Yes,
They're great.
Then Samoa's, wow.
Yeah, the Chinese are everywhere.
They're so good at the Tongan. Man, I was so embarrassed. I was like, wow, look at these guys. They're so good.
How many countries did you go to?
5.
It was planned to go to 6, but India is one of them, and we end up having to film 2 episodes there.
Because it was such a huge country.
Yes.
Yeah. India was the country I didn't want to go to. I've heard and seen so much. I know. But hang on, my Indian friends in whānau, it ended up being the best country.
Oh, really?
And I want to go back again.
Absolutely.
It is amazing.
What was it that made it stand out for you?
The food. People
Did you get diarrhea?
No.
No, I was kidding.
I know we did not.
What?
Some of the crew did, but we didn't because being brought up on the marae and our stomachs are used to it. But we ate all the street food, we ate everything, and we didn't get sick.
Wow.
No, we even swam in the river. Oops, am I allowed to say that?
No, you're not.
Well, I'm saying it on your show. We swam in the river Ganges or the Ganga, which is hard to do when you see what's in it. You're like,
what made you get in?
We were rituals and prayers with and I was not going to be halfway around the world and not hop in it. So I was like, I'm doing this for you, New Zealand, for Aotearoa. Man. And then the camera guy was like, I need you to do it one more time. I was like, what? But...
Did you go in?
Yes, she did too.
Oh, good on you.
Because the wahine that I was with, she was... she had been, showing me around in the wahine traditions. And so I didn't want to feel like I was disrespecting her. So, and she was someone who lived a beautiful life, I'll just say like that, a humble life. And she said, wherever she went, I could trust that it was safe to be in those waters. So I was like, oh my gosh.
You were in the water and you can feel as it's flowing. You're like, oh, there's a can. Oh, there's toilet paper. Oh, there's, you just feel it. But
you better hope it was.
Like, dear Lord. It better be. Dear Lord.
Nothing grabbed you.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3 in the water. And the cameraman said, one more time, we've got a different angle. Oh my God. But,
did it smell?
Not where we were.
Okay.
Not where we were.
We were at the top of the river, we're by the Himalayas. So when you get to Varanasi, where it's been through the world changes, But to them, it's a spiritual, sacred river. We saw, dead bodies floating. We saw dead animals. And then right by them, we saw people brushing their teeth, washing their bodies. But again, it's not for us to judge. And it was so hard not to be judgmental. But I was like, why? But you know what I mean? But it's their culture, so we just
the locals would take buckets.
You buy them?
and they'll go and take water and drink it.
drink it.
Home.
Oh, or you could take it home as a gift.
I'm surprised they didn't go here.
Yeah, I know, I was like, take it home. I was like,
So, the covers.
It looks like covers. They're the same colour. Oh, man. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to watch that.
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's
looking forward
interesting.
to it. It's going to be awesome.
Colourful, it's vibrant, it's just full of activities, and death is like would be having a curry on the street, and then people running past with a dead body, taking it to be burnt. Just like another dead body.
I felt I
another
needed
dead
to
body.
have
It
a
was like,
colour
wow.
for every two parts.
Oh, this Māori says, she was saying whaela as a woman or matu. I was like, how do you know that that's a man or a lady? She goes, oh, haere atu rā te whanaunga. So she changed it to a family member.
Oh, you just had
Save
to
the karanga.
Save
Save
you,
it.
eh? And I'm like, I was not holding back. I'm like, how can we just sit here and just let it run past?
I know. Because they have them on their
Somehow.
shoulders, like the body. There are 4 of them in there running down to the side of the river where the fire is to burn the body. And it's just amazing. It's just like every 5 minutes, another body. Because it's a huge population, so people are dying. And you're like, wow, this is...
It's just the everyday
Respectfully,
living
everyday
there.
life.
Respectfully, I was like, this is great. This is so interesting and neat. Yeah. So, and you talk about breaking a leg, like break a leg. Well, there were like legs everywhere, everywhere you went around there on the ground. And then if they weren't claimed, they'd just sweep them into the river. Because the river's like their mother. So everyone wants to go back to Mother Ganga or Ganges.
Yeah.
So as soon as you're burnt, just in there if your family don't want the ashes, because that's a deep honour.
Wow.
And then we go and brush our teeth.
Actual.
I didn't. No, we didn't.
Oh, you actually
No.
brush your
But
teeth
that's what they do. They brush their teeth.
Yeah.
And thing. But there's no judgment. I get it. It's very sacred. And we didn't get sick. See, and that now I'm thinking, maybe it is. Very sacred. Maybe we should, go back there.
No thanks.
During the episodes and so forth, was there a country like, oh, this is my least favourite during the show?
That is a tough question to answer.
Will we know when we watch it?
We know by your face,
I'll just have to say there is no place like home.
Wow.
There's
No
like
place
home.
like home.
Yeah.
Yep. No. Every country was interesting. I think the saddest country, like we thought would have been with all the poverty in India, but although they're very poor, they find happiness in the smallest things. It was just like, we can't moan anymore. Like I want to take the
Wow.
kids there, not for a holiday, but as an investment into their lives to show them how damn lucky they
blessed
are.
we are.
Totally.
Blessed.
Because those poor kids, they found joy in anything, rubbish, stones. We went to the slums. You'll see that was very sad. My wife broke down because we were feeding the kids some kai.
That was
It was hard, but they were happy.
Yeah.
We were sad, and they're probably, what the hell are they crying
Yeah.
for? But like, because we've never seen this before. But to them, they were having kai. They were very happy. You did a poi for them and sung some songs, and it was beautiful. But one of the saddest countries is probably Canada. They've been through a lot in terms of, the One Nations, the First Nations people.
Oh.
It's I think they're like nearly wiped out their culture and their heritage. So
restoring their culture. as
they're
well
working
was
hard to bring
hard.
their So that you'll see that, and but
Oh, wow.
India was fascinating.
Did you take any of those learnings and sort of like use it to maybe influence the way you guys do things with your mahi?
It was
Or
more,
was it just-
more sort of, because like when we went to Japan, they're just like so futuristic. We're like 50 years ahead of us. We're like, wow, their graveyards are like buildings, and you have elevators and swipe cards to visit your loved ones. We're like, oh my God, this is beautiful. It was so great. And I was like, well, because you can go visit your loved one on a rainy day, a hot day, and it's all air conditioned, and you just jump in a lift. Like, what level's your mum on? Level 7. Oh, that's a lucky number. So we get a 7. And then you have your card, you swipe it, and give it a few minutes, and a robot will bring the body to the door, and the door opens, and then you have some time, and some candles, some food to offer to the
Offerings.
gods, offerings.
So flash.
And then it just doors
So
close and the body
flash.
goes away again. It's just really, really awesome.
Is that the future of Tipene Funerals?
Well, because they got no land, to bury anywhere, so they have to go upwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think
It's called a columbarium, man.
columbarium, how they do that.
I know, it's a flash hotel for ashes.
Oh, so
I know.
beautiful. So beautiful.
I know. And so I was just like, whoa. And it wasn't just on the 7th level, it was every level. There were these, swipe the card and that gave you access to the level that your loved one is on.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, that's a new way of doing
I
it.
know, yeah. So that's why I was like, from one end of the spectrum to the future, it's just, so you'll see everything, but enjoyable. Good watch, yeah.
Oh, one of the guys here, he lived in Japan for many years. Kiona, you lived in Japan. eh?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. How long were you
loved
there
it.
for?
Wow.
You speak the
You
language?
would've-
Oh,
enough to get you by,
He speaks it out.
No.
I was just buzzing out. One was the 7-Eleven.
Oh, the egg sandwiches.
Did you have it with the chicken?
Fami chicken?
No, I just had the egg. I was just like, I just want egg sandwiches.
Was it the egg that you liked or the bread?
Or both.
It's the bread, eh? There's something
Is it?
beautiful about the
It's
I
fluffy,
think the fluffy
The fluffy
bread
bread.
was it.
Oh, okay. I
milk
just
bread
was
is-
like,
Or was it the mayo?
we need those. Yeah.
You know,
Japanese
because
mayo.
He was like, oh, Mum, you have to try this. This is big on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, it's just an egg sandwich. Why would I eat that? We're all the way over here in Japan. What the heck? But it wasn't until, and I was
last
so
day.
disappointed in myself. The last day we all got in the van to get back to the airport, head to the airport. And I was hungry and I was like, oh, give me one of your egg sandwiches. And oh my goodness. Darling, do you have any more? I can't believe I'm just eating this now. I'm so angry.
Honestly,
It
it's
was-
so good.
You're right. It just melted in your mouth.
Yeah, it does.
The bread and everything.
Oh, and then you put that chicken in there and it's
Oh,
That fami
double
chicken,
happy.
chicken. Oh, man, it's beautiful.
yummy.
Oh, man, my Lord. I tell you what, whānau, it has been absolute pleasure because just the whole ordeal, the scandal and so forth, and you're still here. Like I said before, you're still here. And obviously, it seems like a silver lining. The shows are coming, next month on the 11th of June. And I love it. I love it that your character remains the same. Some people, they go through some hardship. The character, they kind of question their own character.
Yes.
But you guys are still the same. You remain the same, which is just a testament of your character. But also wanted to ask, for those people or those who might find themselves in public scrutiny, what's one word of advice could you give to those people who might find themselves in the media, who are going through adversity? What's one thing or word of advice you could give to those people or that individual? Francis?
Yeah. For me, it would be having your support systems around. Now that I look back and all the family came together, I told them to bugger it. Like, go away. You can't do anything for me. But they could. And I just ignored it for the drink. And so it's finding that support system in your family around. And man, they mean so much more to me now because I understand how much they meant. Just turning up, are you okay? I was like, because I don't like pity. I'm not like, I sort things out myself, and of course I'm fine. Leave. Terrible. I shouldn't be like that. But that's now, after going through and learning some lessons over the time. Yes, take it. Embrace your family in that support system, or your friends. They're always there. Are you okay? What do you want to do? Come on, should we go out? And you sit yourself down. You're stuck. Embrace it. If I could rewind and never do this again, I would do that. And I'd understand now because I've learned, a few tools along the way. And that's one of the things, to embrace that and just, relying on them because they're there and they love you.
It's only going to be for a moment. It's just a moment. It may feel the longest time of your life. And that's because it's challenging. But just hang in there. You'll see. You'll come out, and you'll come out stronger than ever. Just see it through as much as you can. Just try not to lose yourself in that. Yeah, and true. Rely on your support systems around them. Don't push them away.
No.
Don't push them away. Take them with you because they're there to offer you in those stages. So, yeah.
Kia ora.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I can tell in the midst of, I can just from watching and listening and learning of your journey, especially through this period, that the biggest tool that you have is your love for one another. That's so evident. And I just, I really just want to, I hope people really see that. I also, it feels like you've been looked after through this whole process as well, eh? From a wider perspective, we talked about, the reason why you do your mahi and why you do it the way you both do it. And it's like, as hard, and I loved your kōrero right there, as hard as it is, there's a new level of, I was thinking Super Saiyan. There's a new level of you both that you've now found because of it. And it's only going to get bigger and more people are going to be touched by this because of your resilience through all of this. So I just want to acknowledge your tipuna who've looked after you through all of this, held you both together, protected your love for one another. And the hope is that many people will watch this and hopefully take something out of it for their own whānau, because that also seems to be a real big message in this kōrero today as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you both. Tēnā
I really
kōrero.
appreciate you both.
Thank you.
Mahalo lava, and mahalo apito to you both. It's very rare that we able to have this kōrero, and this is one of the first of its kind, Francis and Kaiora, because we talk about to bring the guests and they share all the struggles, and then there's the success. But this is quite different. This is different in terms of you've gone through some major changes and some hardship. But I love it that you come out on top. You really do, regardless of what people say. And you're still going to get, you know as I do, people are still going to have their own opinions and so forth, regardless of that. But you can't deny the mahi that you do, the tikana in terms of the way you look after our people and the people that you serve in terms of the funerals and so forth. But the character, your character remains the same. And I just keep seeing it from the rooftops. And because we know you, Francis, from last time, and obviously we got the luxury of meeting Kaiora, your lovely, your wahine, your lovely wife, and it doesn't change anything because whatever people say out there, you remain the same, and we hope and pray for more of God's blessing on your whānau, your mahi, and then it's just your endeavours, the show, and I can guarantee the show's going to blow up. I'm just speaking it out into existence. It's going to blow up, and it doesn't change anything about who you are as the tipene. And so, mahalo lava once again, and ofa atu, and thank you once again. And we're going to give you the last words, Francis and Kaiora.
Pitia, Caroline, thank you very much. This has been so healing for us, anxious and everything as we were, but it's we leave here lighter again. Again, we leave here lighter. So, tēnā kōrero, and thank you for having the space for people like us to kōrero freely. I appreciate you both, tēnā kōrero, and to the boys over there, tēnā kōrero.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. It's been a privilege and an honour to be here and have this kōrero with you both. With my tāne, I mean, we've touched on a lot of take, a lot of points that I actually didn't think we were going to discuss. But you know what? Thank you for asking those questions. And this is better than counselling,
You should send us an invoice.
So thank you both for having us. Ngā mihi nui.
Thank you. Tēnā kōrero.
Mahalo lava. I think last time I gave you a gift to sketch, Francis. I'm going to do something different. This is the first time ever. Because I am a visual artist, and so I'm going to sketch for you live. And this is your gift. This is your gift from the Mandate team.
Wow.
And so if I can get in just to
Prep it.
just prep the phone, and hopefully hopefully this gift
Wow.
means brings some sort of sentimental token for you both.
Oh my
And just
goodness.
just to say thank you very much for the work that you do and the kaupapa that you guys do, but also for our people as well.
Mm-hmm.
wawata noa e hau mai angi ki ngā mako e raru kore me o Moe hewa ko taua noi ho akera ko taua Tako topu ana Rarana ko te irirangi Reka ke ana Ki he ati hoki E kore e wehe E kore hoki e moki Kupu i tako kupu i taka hia Te raumati ka maratia Oh Te reka ongu tu te tonga O tera O rana i te raumati Ka moe tu tonu te mahara Potere ana Potere ana Wawata tonu Moana te au na o mata ko taua Whakareho ana Ngā wahi ngā tangata Ka ki te ahi whare tahatai Wai tamariki koe rā noi ho Tako topu ana Rarana ko te irirangi Reka ke ana Ki he ati hoki E kore e wehe E kore hoki e moki Kupu i tako kupu i taka hia Te raumati ka maratia Oh Te reka ongu tu te tonga o tera O rana i te raumati Ka moe tu tonu te mahara Potere ana Potere ana Yeah Potere ana Potere ana Potere ana Potere ana Oh Potere ana Hey Potere ana